It's been 11 years and 22 Marvel films, and all comes down to the final Avengers Endgame. And they're gonna do whatever it takes. What's going on, friends? Logan Myerz here for Cinephellas.com. Really excited to talk about the final entry in this phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm talking about Avengers Endgame, breaking the box office records right now. We've all been highly anticipating this film after what happened in Avengers Infinity War, the ultimate demise and half the population dying. And we see where the Avengers are, the aftermath of Infinity War. With Endgame, we had the directors, the Russo brothers, returning. I love these guys. I mean, they really make great superhero films, great CGI, great stories, very compelling films. And I'm glad they're at the helm for this movie. The Avengers, really at a loss, really broken, trying to figure out what they need to do, if there's any hope left. We see Tony Stark up in space. The other Avengers are, scattered around. They're really beat up about this. They lost a lot of their friends and families. They've lost all hope. This is a film that's very emotionally driven. The Avengers Infinity War, we had Thanos. The film was really based on Thanos. It was his film. But with Endgame, this is more the Avengers, the superheroes. This is their film. This is emotionally driven. We see a lot of characters that we didn't see in Infinity War, a lot of questions that we had, such as Ant-Man and Hawkeye. Like, where the hell were they in Infinity War? They could have really used them to defeat Thanos, but we find out what happened to their characters. And I absolutely loved, Ant-Man, Paul Rudd. He was a huge part of Endgame, and absolutely love that. We just saw him in Chicago at C2E2. I can't believe Paul Rudd's a superhero. I still can't believe that. Find out what happens to Scott Lang during Infinity War, why he wasn't there. And we also see with Hawkeye's character, I love Jeremy Renner. This is probably the best depiction of Hawkeye on the big screen in all the films. He really does a great job with this character, and he's torn, and he's hurt, and he's pissed off, and he wants revenge. And we see what happens with his character and how they all come back together again with the Avengers. This is a 3-hour-long movie. I made sure I went to the bathroom a few times before watching the movie, and by the time it was over, I'm like, God, I gotta go! And it was a sold-out theater. All the screenings around me were sold out. They're sold out for like the next week. This is how big of a movie it really is, and how much of a pop culture phenomenon of people that read the comics or follow all the movies, or people that are just coming in for the first time. I mean, this is a movie for everybody, and it really does a great job at pulling at your heartstrings, bringing out so many different emotions, and seeing what happens to our favorite superheroes, if they live or if they die. But Captain Marvel does show up in a few parts of the film that are really huge parts, and seeing what she's capable of doing with her superpowers. And she is a really great character. There's been a lot of hate, but I absolutely loved the Captain Marvel movie. I think Brie Larson did a really good job with this character of Carol Danvers. And it's really great to see her with, the rest of the Avengers and see what plan they're going to come up with. And I don't want to go into too many spoilers with this film. I know a lot of people have not seen this yet, and probably one of the first times in my life I did not see any spoilers. I didn't look on the interwebs for a few days before seeing this because I did not want anything spoiled, and I'm so glad for that, because I went into this movie with fresh eyes, and everything was new to me, and I was just absorbing everything that was thrown at me on the big screen. But the plan they come up with the remaining Avengers is fantastic, the way they're going to go about this and how they're going to get their friends back, and it's just really awesome how they did this, and bringing in, kind of sub-characters and sub-superheroes that didn't really have bigger parts in the other movies, really giving them the spotlight to take control and take over, because Hulk and Iron Man and Captain America and Black Widow, they're all really torn. They're devastated after what happened in the last film, and they lost all hope, and they're trying to find themselves again and what they need to do and how they continue with life. And it's really compelling how they do this with the storytelling. The first 2 acts are a little slow burn. It's very character driven a lot, but eventually, they kind of overcome that hump and figure things out, and they have to do what's right for mankind one last time and saving the world. And it's really interesting after all these films, seeing, the origin stories of the Avengers, like Iron Man and Captain America, and how far they've come and what they've defeated over the years, how much they've changed since the beginning. In the film, they do kind of fast forward in time. They kind of go back and forth, and it's really cool how they incorporated a lot of the original films, like the first Avengers movie that me and Henry Hill went to see. When that came out, like, we saw it a few weeks before it was released to the general public, and seeing how big the fan base has gotten since then, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's the biggest thing in the world right now. It's bigger than Star Wars, and for good reason, because these movies are top-notch, amazing, visually stimulating, just really great film. Kind of getting a refresher what happens in the other movies if you haven't rewatched them recently, like myself. And I really don't have too many complaints about Avengers Endgame. I mean, the first 2 acts are really slow burn. It's building up the story, leading up to the ultimate climax at the end of the film. I wasn't bored by it. I thought this movie went by pretty quick. Like, I was invested. I didn't get bored. It was 3 hours long. I couldn't believe when it ended. I'm like, holy shit, that was 3 hours. It felt like an hour and a half. Like, it went by so quick because I was so into this movie, and it just drew out so many emotions for me. Leading up to the third hour, the final act of the film is the best scene that we've seen in a superhero movie of all time, for sure, especially in Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's been 11 years building up to the final chapter, and they did such a great job with this. The Russo brothers directing, the visual effects team, definitely this is like their magnum opus for sure. This is their masterpiece, because the final act of the movie, it's just so well done. I'm excited to see what happens to all these superheroes and see what happens with Thanos and what they end up doing. Cinematic masterpiece. It's a movie that you definitely have to see just for the last hour, just the way that it was shot and the music. And I really felt fulfilled, like, after watching it and the movie ending. So overall, I had a great time with Avengers Endgame. I went in with high hopes. I came out completely satisfied. The last hour of the movie is definitely the best part, and the best part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to date. It's well worth the admission to this movie. Again, I didn't want to spoil too much because I want all you guys to go in with fresh eyes, not knowing too much. But if you're a fan like me that's been there since the beginning, when these movies first started coming out, I've been following them the entire ride through the 11 years. I think you guys will be completely satisfied. I think you guys will have a great time with this. You know, there's a few issues with the movie. It's not a perfect movie in any way. I think I may like Infinity War just a little more, just because of the action. But in terms of story and character development, Endgame is definitely a much better movie. And seeing where, you know, the superheroes, these characters, the Avengers, how torn they are, how beat down they are, having no more hope. You know, they're giving up. There's nothing left. So them overcoming that, seeing the brighter side and seeing that, hey, they can do this one more time. They can finish this off. Really interesting storytelling. And I thought they just did an excellent job with this. The camera work in this movie, the score, cinematography, directing, acting. I can't believe that they actually pulled this off, and it was as good as it was. And I'm really surprised by that. When they have movies like this, like major motion pictures, blockbusters, sometimes they're a little, you know, disappointing. I will say some entries in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are not great. But this movie is definitely one of the better ones in the entire franchise. And this is a movie you guys don't want to miss. So do yourself a favor, definitely go see Avengers Endgame in the theater, support this movie, see how it all ends, and see what happens to these characters. And hopefully you guys enjoyed as much as I did. I'm going to give Avengers Endgame a 4.5 out of 5 Thanos hair pieces. So if you guys did see Avengers Endgame, what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What do you think is going to happen in the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Where's it going to go from here? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe. This is Logan Myerz signing out with Thanos one last time. Until the next movie review. Cheers!